So, everybody, how you doing? This is Mike Randolph with the Center for Nonprofit and Community Development. We just left Tampa, and now we're in Baltimore. I want to introduce you to a gentleman that's doing a lot of great work in Baltimore. Sir, would you introduce yourself and tell us about what you do, and more importantly, why you do it?
How's it going? My name is David FITZGERALD. They call me Mumu. I'm the director of Safe Streets, Baltimore. We're a nonprofit. We try to stop the shootings and homicides in the city by way of mediation. We believe that violence is a disease and it can be cured. Yeah, and that's pretty much what we do.
Oh, that's a whole lot. What people don't understand is that the approach to dealing with violence in most inner city is to bring in law enforcement. What Safe Neighborhood do is provide intervention where you don't have to call the police if it's a beef. You can call them, street do street, and they'll come in and they will resolve their particular beef. But we're here today because you lost one of yours. How does it feel to lose someone that's so close to you?
Man, it's unexplainable, man. It's in our communities, violence is not only become accepted as a way, just how you handle your disputes. It's almost expected now, and we become numb to it almost. It's hard to describe the feeling, man. I'm just numb. You look and I haven't cried. The last 3 people that got killed, I haven't cried yet. And
last year, there was 340 murders in Baltimore. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, added to that, and I do the research, in Baltimore, every 8 minutes, a crime is committed. Compared to like Tampa is every 19 hours. So, David, you don't have to do this. What compels you to do this? Because actually, every day you put your life on the line for somebody else. So David, tell us, why do you do what you do?
Truthfully, I do this job for myself. More than me out here saving other people's lives, I'm more or less saving my own life because I come from that environment.
Okay.
It's another reason why I more or less created another program called Gun Violence Anonymous.
Okay.
For the recovery of for the victims of gun violence, but also for the perpetrators of gun violence.
Awesome.
I'm ashamed to say I'm a former perpetrator myself.
Me too. We're all from the streets, and that's why we're in the best position to change it, because we're from the streets. For me, I'm in the projects. So when you're coming from the streets, you got a better perspective on talking to the people in the streets. What happens a lot, David, and you know it, other people with these college degrees, they try to come in with these college degrees, don't even know the streets, and they try to tell us what needs to be done. David, tell us about your friend that was lost.
It's not that far as the college degrees. I believe experience is the degree.
Yes. David, I call it streetology. I always tell folks I got a degree in streetology.
Yeah, and that's true. You can't teach that in college.
You can't.
We walk through the same projects. College students we see the same bushes, but
yes,
I see through them bushes because I'm paranoid. I've been shot 5 times.
Oh man, and that's the message I want to send to the nation. Here's the real deal. If you want to make changes in urban centers, it's people like David that does it. David, tell us about your partner that was just recently killed yesterday. Let the world know who he was.
It's a little hard to talk about him. Actually, it's so fresh.
Okay, I understand.
I just left him. We actually he's a young brother. He was a former participant from the streets. His name was Deshaun. He was
yeah.
I kind of feel guilty because we almost encouraged him and implored him to come on and work for us because he was so good in the community. We talking about a kid that everybody liked him. But he never had a fight in the community. Everybody liked him, old and young. the police, like 2 years ago, he went viral. Police beat him up on Monument Street, and it was captured on video. He sued the police. Police officer was arrested, whatever, and he sued the police department and won a large settlement. So he didn't have to work. He didn't need this job. He was doing it for the love of his community. And he was killed yesterday, and it's hard to talk about, man. Like, just so many of them, man. Like, it's hard to talk about.
Now, David, you was also
my son to these streets.
No, please go ahead. I didn't hear that. I
lost his son to these streets in 2019.
How old was he?
26 years old.
And what was his name, Dave?
Deshaun McCoy.
Okay. So I see it goes deep for you. It's more than just a program. For you, it's a way of life, of changing people's lives. Now, I knew you also was familiar with Dante Boxdale.
My best friend. My best friend. He hired me.
Yeah, he was a king, man. He just before he passed away, he and I was going to do a deal. What he liked about me was that I was creating this idea that street do street, and that we can only do it if the streets do it. So he liked that. He had an opportunity, as you know, to go to any place. He chose me because A, I was from the projects, and B, I was from Baltimore.
It's crazy. He used to talk about you all the time.
I love that man, because he was on the real, man. Because we was talking about how do you flip money. I said, you got to make money. They don't teach us to make money in the streets. They teach us to put a gun. They don't tell us about how to flip that dollar in terms of houses and businesses and everything like that. And that's what I liked about him. He wanted to make a change, but his change was going to be economic development and not just another social program.
Exactly, and that's what these programs that I'm currently writing out is about now. You asked me why I work here, and again I say because I'm saving myself as well as others. You know, like I really created the 12-step program for gun violence and 12-step program for Gun Violence Anonymous for not only the victims, but also the perpetrators.
Wow. This is new. This is new.
You got a lot of, basically, you know how they say you got a lot of recovering alcoholics.
Right.
And, you know, when they have problems, they can't call their family or their friends because they come from a family of alcoholics.
Right.
So if they call their auntie or their brother, they're going to end up at the bar talking about their problems. So they call their AA sponsor, right?
Wow.
Same here, you got a lot of recovering shooters.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't shot somebody in 100 years, but if you put me in a shootout, I'm gonna squeeze the trigger.
Oh yeah, you got to defend your life. Yeah.
You know, put me, so I can't, when I'm like right now, when I'm dealing with these kinds of problems, I can't call my family, my friends. I come from a family of that environment.
That's right.
So I have my streets family and my coworkers to rely on as my sponsors. And that's what I basically wrote this program up to recreate and duplicate that for the people that have safe streets and co-workers like me.
Awesome, awesome. So David.
Yeah.
Rovers Park where I'm at. It's one of the most dangerous projects in Tampa. If you could share something with, and these people down here, they carry AKs and they just shoot just to kill. A couple of weeks ago, a person was shot and killed in front of my door. 2 months ago, a person was shot and killed in front of my door. If you could say something to Rovers Park, these people right here in the projects, what would you say to them about the killing?
One, we gotta take a holistic approach to it. Man, you gotta step back to step forward. Look at it and examine what's going on around you. You can't check a person and tell them what to do without checking on them. Everybody know what they should do and tell them what to and what not to do, but don't nobody check on them. They in the projects, they bottom feed, all they got is each other. They can stop it themselves. We don't need politicians, we don't need police. We don't need nobody else but us to stop what's going on.
Now, this is coming from an OG, folks. This is not a regular person. This is an OG talking to the projects. So don't get it wrong. He's an OG. So he got street creds to tell you what to do. I'm sorry, Dave.
Oh, definitely solidified. David FITZGERALD, they call me Momo. Anybody in Baltimore City know.
I know that.
Like, anybody in a federal institution, in a federal institution, know.
Yeah.
I'm good. And again, though, it's so much, man. It's so much. It's so much. Let's start with the kids.
That's deep, man. David, I can see the pain in your eyes, man.
Us just telling our kids, you know, you got that y'all are the future. You can have a future, but you gotta wait till the future to have it.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta go to school and college, and then you might can get a job.
Mm-hmm.
But our kids see everybody dying every day today. They don't see them making it past college and school and all that. Mm-hmm. Not to mention, school, everybody don't learn in a school setting. Mm-hmm. I believe school is the exchange of information from someone that knows to someone that doesn't. Our kids ain't going to school to learn how to sell drugs. They're not going to school to get out here and join gangs. They're not going to school to shoot these triggers. But yet and still we tell them you gotta be 14 years old to get a worker's permit. But you can be 12 and 13 years old and be a multi-millionaire selling drugs. You can be 12 and 13 and go to jail for the rest of your life for shooting somebody. But you can't have a part of society until you're 14 years old with a worker's permit. So is it us pushing this on to our kids, pushing our kids on this? They can be bosses now. I created a youth entrepreneur program where I took 10 kids and they come to my office and I pay for their LLCs myself.
Wow.
Not tomorrow, not no training class for tomorrow and next week, 6 months. They bosses today.
Okay, okay.
The first kid wanted to do a landscaping company.
Awesome.
The community put together and paid for all his equipment. I paid for his LLCs. He comes to my office twice a week for training, and I have regular brothers that come from the streets that used to sell drugs. Now they got real businesses. That's who my instructors is. Not the college people. Regular people that come from the streets like me and you that speak to them in a language that they understand.
Yeah, yeah.
Same way they, you know, put them in the passenger seat at a Cadillac to teach them how to sell drugs. We put them in the passenger seat at a Cadillac and teach them, boy, you want an LLC or a sole proprietorship? Because you're going to hire employees, you're going to do the job yourself.
And they're not used to that talk, man. They're not used to that talk. They not, man. You get the real deal.
Each other, and we can do it ourselves. The community did all this. And guess what? They got to hire. Once they're in the business, they don't got to pay me back nothing. They got to find another kid in the community and sign him on. And they got to pay for his LLC.
Wow.
So I paid the first 10. They pay for the second 10.
And you created this, Dave? You created this right here?
30, 40 businesses popped up. Legal revenue for the state. And it's creating opportunities for other kids that they ain't got to go sell drugs to eat tonight. They can come cut grass. You make more money cutting grass than you do over there on the corner with you. Wow. Matter of fact, you want to come work for me? I'm 13. You know what I'm saying? You can't manipulate these kids no more. Okay. Not in my youth program, you can, because they bosses.
Right, right.
That entrepreneur spirit, you know? It's a rough time for me.
It is. So let me quickly jump in real quick. And this is going to corporate America. Banks, investors, all these people with all the money. If you want to invest in poor communities, if you want to affect change in poor communities, you have to go to the street level. And you have to go to people like this gentleman right here that's on the ground. That's on the ground. See, but we know that if you invest in programs like his, you save money. Because of what, 25,000, 30,000 to house a person in the institution? You give this man 3,000, 5,000 per head, and you come out on top. And that's what I want to talk about. How do we take you to that level where you need to be? Because at the end of the day, what do they say in Baltimore? We all we got, and we all we need. Because ain't nobody is coming to help us. Every time somebody get killed, the police come, the politicians come, the faith come, neighborhood groups come, the media come, and guess what? The next day, it's the same old, same old. Unless you invest in the streets and people that got respect in the street, this thing is not going to change. So Dave, anything else you want to say before we go into our deal-making deal?
And the prisons.
Okay.
The prisons play a big part of the streets. Don't ever forget that.
Okay.
That's why it got to put inside out. Prisons play a big part of the streets. And
yeah,
I feel the same way about the prisons. We can do it ourselves. That's why I want to know about the foundation.
Excellent. So tomorrow I'm gonna be in New York. I'm gonna be talking about you. The 28th, I'll be in DC. Then I'll be back in Tampa, going around in different places. But everywhere I go, your name is gonna be known. Because David, at the end of the day, this is not personal. This is business. It really is, man. We need to stop the killing, not like yesterday, but today. See, but folks like us, see, we see killing every day. You know, I'm used to hearing shots every day. When I don't hear a shot, it's like something is wrong. There's something wrong with that mentality. You hear me, Dave? It's something wrong when you say, oh my God, what's wrong? You know?
You leave Baltimore, can't wait to get back home.
For sure, for sure. So,
what's going on?
So Dave, just before we end this session right here, is there anything you want to say? You did talk to Roberts Parquet in Tampa. Talk to Baltimore City and the people that's hanging on the corner in the streets of Baltimore City.
Help is on the way. Help is on the way. Help is on the way.
All right. And we're going to work with him to bring the money in so to help him come down to the ground level. David, we only work in the most highest and violent neighborhood in the nation. We don't even touch a neighborhood if it's not African American and high crime and high drugs. Because we believe that, I'll go again, streetology is the way to solve this. You have to have a master of the streets in order to talk to the people and make a change. Man, I'm so proud of you and what you're doing. I didn't know you was doing so much. That's why I'm so glad that we did this so other people could see the excitement that I saw in my eyes at the same time. This was not script. This is all 100% real deal. So Dave, thank you a lot. Now let's get back to our conversation about doing a deal, man, so we can bring some money into Baltimore.